Alright, welcome back to another episode of Dave Makes Food. We're still in the gyoza capital of Japan, Utsunomiya. And as you can guess, we're going to have another full day of gyoza eating, so let's begin. I thought we'd go back to the Utsunomiya Gyoza Kirasse so I could try all the popular stalls at once with a full appetite this time. It's Saturday today, and restaurants can get crazy busy on weekends, so I went right at opening, and once I got there, the restaurant was already full, with at least another 100 people waiting in line already. Which is kind of crazy because the restaurant definitely seats close to 200 people. In Japan, they say if you're not early, you're late, but it's clear that even if you're early, you can still also be quite late. I thought about getting a ticket, but I was starving, so I decided to go back to the daily shop, which was just next door since they had counter seating available. I got seated at the daily restaurant's counter and ordered some shrimp gyoza, as well as some boiled ones that were in a Korean-style soup. As expected, the shrimp gyoza looked beautiful. The crispy part was darker than I've been seeing with my other orders, but definitely still within an acceptable range. And the dumplings in the soup looked fantastic as well. A light broth with a surprising amount of egg, seaweed, carrots, and some toasted sesame seeds. I've had this style of soup many times, and I knew it would only be improved with the addition of gyoza. The broth was dashi based with a light soy sauce flavor. The sesame seeds really added a nice roasted fragrance, and the egg was extremely light and fluffy since it was freshly added to the soup right before serving. The seaweed adds umami, as well as a slightly briny flavor. I really enjoy this style of soup. I think the flavor is fantastic. All the ingredients are simple yet work so well together. And as for the gyoza, they had a powerful, distinct shrimp flavor and a very pleasant, firm, springy texture. The wrapper was extremely thin and soft on top, and crispy on the bottom. These were much less juicy than the pork ones I've had previously. In fact, there really wasn't any liquid inside of them at all. The filling was much more dense, but it was loaded with shrimp, cabbage, and sesame flavor. I enjoyed these ones a lot. Pork is definitely the most common filling, but I definitely prefer shrimp gyoza. They are a lot less rich, and I preferred the firm texture. And moving back to our other dish. I enjoyed the light flavor of the broth, but adding some pepper, chili oil, and vinegar to give it a hot and sour flavor profile made it even better. As for the boiled dumplings, they had a much thicker and chewier exterior. They feel so much more satisfying to eat, and although they have less flavor overall because of the thicker skin, they pair so much better with the broth. They had the standard pork and cabbage filling, which was full of flavorful fatty juice. They were delicious. I thoroughly enjoyed both of these dishes. They were equally fantastic. I was extremely hungry when I arrived, so I had no trouble finishing these off at all. My total bill came to 980 yen, which seemed extremely reasonable. If you love gyoza and don't want to spend a lot of money on food, this is definitely the city for you. I only ordered 2 dishes since we'd already been here, and I just needed something to tide me over until we went to the next restaurant, so let's go. Just kidding, that one was full too, with about 15 people waiting out in the blistering sun. Again, I thought about lining up, but it's just way too hot. Plus, we're in the gyoza capital of Japan, and there was another popular and larger restaurant right on the next block. This is Kenta Gyoza. I chose 2 different styles of pan-fried gyoza, ginger and Kenta style. They arrived in about 5 minutes, and they looked just like your classic gyoza should. Nothing out of the ordinary, no additional starch layer, just perfect golden brown gyoza. As soon as I picked it up, I could tell it was full of juice. The first one was Kenta style, which is their pork and cabbage filling. It was delicious. The filling was noticeably more firm and crunchy in texture, but it still had the rich pork flavor. Upon further investigation, there were clear larger pieces of cabbage compared to the previous dumplings, and the filling was also a lot more coarse. I enjoyed this texture a lot more than the blended and ground up softer versions. Next up were the ginger ones, and you're probably not going to believe this, but it was the same dumpling, but with the addition of fresh ginger. The ginger added a very nice, bright fragrance and flavor, which made the gyoza seem lighter. Wow, look at how much cabbage is in that one. That's a ton, but I actually like these a lot more. The large amounts of cabbage and ginger really prevented the pork filling from becoming too rich like it usually does for me. I never got tired of the flavor, and I definitely preferred these over the regular Kenta ones. These were extremely delicious, no-frills dumplings at a very reasonable price. Exactly what Kenta Gyoza aims to offer. My total bill came to 830 yen. And after eating 4 different dishes at 2 different restaurants, I had only spent about 15 Canadian dollars on lunch, which was fantastic. But that was a lot of dumplings. I think we need to go for a walk. I actually walked outside for a couple hours in the insane heat, and when I got back to the hotel, showered and cooled off, I didn't really feel like going out back into the heat for dinner. So I decided to eat in one of the restaurants at the hotel. I'm staying at a place called the Grand Spa. I'll give you a quick tour after dinner. I know in the previous video, I said that I'd do my best to eat regional specialty foods, but once I saw they had braised beef spicy soup noodles, I completely forgot about everything. I had no choice but to order them. A spicy broth full of green onions, egg, and minced meat as well as the braised beef. There was also chilies, and everything was in a spicy beef broth. The broth was a very flavorful beef stock, and the braised beef was fatty and perfectly tender. Below everything were some handmade thin wavy noodles. They were a little bit thinner and softer than I would have preferred, but still very delicious, and they held the broth extremely well. Just as earlier in the day, I really enjoyed the addition of fluffy egg to the soup broth. It's such a nice way to add a light richness. But the best part was by far the braised beef. It was so tender and fatty, with such a nice texture from all the tendon being rendered. It was an incredibly delicious bowl of noodles, although I have to admit, I did feel somewhat uncomfortable eating in a restaurant in bare feet. That was kind of weird and new to me. But in case you want to see what a $50 per night spa/hotel looks like in Utsunomiya, I'll give you a quick tour. Just as the name says, everything about this place is extremely grand, starting with the decor. This hotel/spa has everything, so you don't actually have to go outside if you don't want to during your stay. There's a huge lounge/rest area, 2 restaurants, an arcade, a children's play area, a manga corner, lots of work tables and lounge areas, and this is my room accommodation. I got a slightly upgraded one so it has a personal area with a desk and sliding door to keep it private. This place is clearly old, as you can see by the TV. The bed was standard Japanese level of hard, and it had this really weird uncomfortable chair set up that you could lean against. The armrests were hilariously high. I'm slightly above average height in Japan, and this was still way too high for me. There's no way this could possibly have been comfortable for anyone. But the main attraction here is a massive bath area, but you're obviously not allowed to film in there. And that's what my $50 spa accommodation looks like. I'll see you tomorrow. Today's our last morning in Utsunomiya, and even though we've pretty much eaten nothing but dumplings for 2 days straight, I figured we should probably get some dumplings for breakfast. There's a highly rated gyoza restaurant in the station that has excellent reviews, so let's give it a try. It's called Bar Iron, and it's very popular even at 10 in the morning. While ordering, I once again got distracted from dumplings as soon as I saw tasty spicy beef tendon soupless noodles. There was just nothing I could do once I saw those words. Just look at how delicious these look. There was tender beef, a soft boiled egg, spicy paste, lots of onion, seaweed, and even some spice powder, all over top medium wavy noodles. The combination of the fragrant and flavorful spice paste and rich soft boiled egg worked so well together. And the large amount of onion gave it some perfect contrasting freshness and crunchy texture. The beef also had a ton of meaty flavor that came out when you chewed. It wasn't super tender, but I don't think it was meant to be. All of the elements worked together so harmoniously to create an outstanding bowl of noodles. Some additional chili oil and vinegar made the bowl even more delicious. I really enjoy this style of dry noodles, and these were some of the best I've ever had. A highly recommended bowl. And then up next were the gyoza, and they looked excellent. Quite large in size, a nice crispy starch layer, and extremely soft and plump looking on the other side. I ordered the Chinese mala ones, which I guess are just their regular gyoza with the sauce on top. It had a beautiful fiery red color, and I could see minced meat, peanuts, Sichuan peppercorns, and some fermented black beans. I tried some of the sauce first, and it was incredible. So fragrant from chili, ginger, and garlic, and had the classic Chinese mala flavor as the name would suggest. Mala meaning spicy and numbing from chili and Sichuan peppercorns. The dumpling itself was so soft. These also had the thinnest skin of all the dumplings I've tried so far in Utsunomiya. The gyoza was also packed full of tender pork and cabbage. The combination of the thin wrapper and tender chunks of meat was unbelievable. The pork wasn't finely minced, yet it was still extremely tender and juicy. These absolutely didn't need a dipping sauce since they already came loaded with the flavorful mala sauce. These were my favorite gyoza that I tried so far on this gyoza tour. Their lightness and tenderness really set them apart from other styles. This was an outstanding and highly recommended meal in Utsunomiya. The quality was fantastic, but that was also reflected in the price. These were also the most expensive dumplings I ate here as well. And just like that, our time in Utsunomiya was over. This was by far the most amount of gyoza I've ever consumed, but it was also extremely fun to try so many different kinds from so many different restaurants. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. We're heading to Sendai next in Miyagi Prefecture, and I hope you follow along. Thanks for watching.